Hello, NYWCites, and welcome to a retro review. Yes, you heard me correct, folks. This is a retro review where I will be reviewing my first ever NYWC event, which took place on this day, March 20th, 2004. 17 years ago today, my first NYWC event that I attended. And believe it or not, this was when I was on my way to the show, and I wasn't familiar with the Deer Park area. And I remember getting off the train. I didn't see any, I was trying to call for a cab to take me to the show. And eventually, it was very cold that day, and I was thinking to myself, because I got there like 5:25 p.m. that day, and it was pretty cold outside, and I forgot what time it was, but I kept thinking that if I don't see any cabs driving around by 6 p.m., I was going to turn around and go home. But one cab driver from Artie's Taxi, which we know today as Suffolk County Taxi, the motherfuckers who take 20 goddamn years to show up and try to get me after a show, and I'm glad I gave up on them. I mean, and that particular driver that day acted like he didn't know where the hell Homer Avenue was, and bastard ripped me off. And I haven't seen that motherfucker since. Okay? But I got to the building, and, it was the Deer Park Community Center. We had a luminary in attendance, and that was none other than Matt Stryker, who eventually ended up a part of NYWC a short time after this event took place. Just as the show was about to get underway, two gentlemen right next to me said, "Oh, excuse me, can we trouble you for 2 pieces of paper?" And I said, "Oh, not at all." I had at the time, a spiraled notebook to write down the matches. So without further ado, here is how the show went down. We began with a singles matchup which pitted Joey Brajol with manager Prince Charles taking on Spider. Joey Brajol at the time was one half of the tag team Affirmative Action with Lamar Braxton Porter. Spider was one half of the tag team Los Luchas Hermanos. His partner was Ken Scampi, and they actually came out to the theme of the cartoon Mucha Lucha. Good cartoon, which I remember used to air Saturday mornings. And that one character, the Flea, was so darn annoying on that cartoon. The match gets underway, and folks, all of this is going off memory, so I do apologize right now for forgetting endings of most of these matches. Spider impressed me. This was my first time seeing him, I believe. And Brajol had competed on early ICW shows, as well as USA Pro Wrestling. And Spider defeated Joey Brajol in this singles match to open up the show. Next singles match, we see Nick Nocious with his All About Us partner, J. Delicious, as Nick went one-on-one with Damian Dragon, accompanied the ring by his wife, Foxy Dreams, who later became Foxy Foxy. Now, forgot how this one ended, but Nick Nocious beat Damian Dragon, and after the match, Nocious and Licious, both members of All About Us, had used some kind of tape, and they taped Damian to the ropes, and I believe it was Nocious who powerbombed Foxy in the ring while Damian was taped up to the ropes and couldn't do anything about it. Next up comes Tyler Payne, who the previous month was defeated by Marty Jannetty of the Rockers fame, and I understand that match, had Payne won, he would have become NYWC champion again. The title was held at the time by Mikey Whipwreck. But Payne comes to the ring, takes the microphone from ring announcer Nick Vrona, and he says, "For the next 2 hours, this is the Tyler Payne Show. I am not leaving this ring until Mikey Whipwreck comes out and gives me my championship belt." And to show how serious he was, Payne handcuffed himself to the top rope and stayed in the ring, and out came our next matchup, which saw Dan Dynasty face Chief Dudley. Chief Dudley was in ECW as Dances with Dudley. And the match went on while Tyler Payne was still handcuffed to the top rope and standing in the corner. At one point, Tyler was considered. He walked out of a corner when, I forgot it was Dynasty or Dudley was going to be whipped into that corner Tyler Payne was standing in, but Tyler conveniently walked out of that corner. Chief Dudley got the win over Dan Dynasty. Then out comes Mikey Whipwreck and Marty Jannetty, who were going to set to face Tyler Payne and a mystery partner in the main event that night. I forgot if Whipwreck and Jannetty got to say anything, but Payne takes the microphone and he says, "You want to know who my partner is?" And then he says, "Marty Jannetty." Jannetty super kicked Whipwreck. Payne unhandcuffed himself from the ropes. Tyler and Marty double teamed Mikey and left him laying in the ring. Next up, we have another singles match as Maniac Mike Mayhem went one-on-one with NYWC's founding father, Curse. Remember that guy, everyone? First time seeing... Let me see, it was my first time seeing both of those guys. Well, Curse and Mayhem in action. No, I'm sorry. I previously saw Mayhem in ICW. And to backtrack, I first saw Damian Dragon in ICW. Noxious I remember as Iceberg in USA Pro Wrestling. Dynasty, I think I saw him do a USA Pro show a month before this. And Chief Dudley, of course, was Dances with Dudley in ECW. But Curse and Mayhem go at it, but then out comes Baxter Cross, who looked a little like Quentin Tarantino. Baxter Cross, Matt Hype, Armando Muerto, Oscar, and Brett Matthews, who later became Zack Ryder. They hit the ring, they all attack Curse, and eventually Tony Burma tries to save him, but he gets quintuple teamed. Might have used the wrong word. Until he's down on the mat, and those 5 men I mentioned left with Mayhem. And eventually out comes Mason Burma's scheduled opponent, Mason Rage, with Crusher Dugan. Crusher had just become commissioner at the previous show. And just as before Mason entered the ring, before he was Absolute, Alvin, who was such a heckler in the crowd, Mason looked right at Alvin and he says to him, "What are you talking about, Willis?" And boy, Alvin took it so... Alvin was like life of the party when he used to be in the crowd. Mike McNicholas had nothing on him. Crusher gets the microphone and he says, seeing I'm the commissioner of this... commissioner of the company now, and he says, we're gonna instead of waiting for the inevitable, this match is going to start right now. And the match was on, and Mason Rage eventually put away Tony Burma in that matchup. All right, at that point they went to intermission, and there was this one lady who I met a month earlier at USA Pro Wrestling. And she was selling videotapes and championship belts for Jack Sabbath, who was not there that night. I had purchased from her the Psycho Circus that took place 2 months earlier, and the USA Pro show that I met her at a month before this. All right. Then the action got back in session, as we saw Nuke with his manager, Tommy King, go one-on-one with Mega. Not much I remember about this matchup, but Nuke pinned Mega, I believe, with a Vader bomb. Tommy King was, because he was always wearing a purple sports jacket, the fans used to call him Barney the Dinosaur from Barney and Friends, even singing that one Barney song that Barney and the kids would sing at the end of nearly every episode. They were pretty much pushing Nuke at this time, grooming him to be on top around this time. Next up, we have another singles match, which saw Southern Vinny Stylen, who was doing a Confederate character, waving a Confederate flag. He went one-on-one with Ken Scampy, accompanied the ring by Tara Charisma. Well, both Scampy and Charisma were students of Mikey Whipwreck. Vinny Stylen, I forgot how, but no, or did he use the Confederate flag? But son of Vinny Stylen defeated Ken Scampy in this match. And for those who don't know, Vinny Stylen, real name Vincent Reese, passed away back in 2015. Then we finally have tag team action after all these singles matches. Wow. We see the first two graduates of the ECW House of Hardcore, Chris Chetty and dastardly Danny Doring, challenge Wayne and Roostar for the tag team championship. For those who don't know, Wayne is none other than NYWC owner Shane, and Roostar is Platinum Pat Buck, Rahway Ram Pat Buck. He went on to own WrestlePro and co-own Creative Pro Wrestling. I forgot how this match ended, but Wayne and Roostar defeated Chris Chetty and Danny Doring to retain the tag team championship. But then out comes Nuke and his manager Tommy King. Nuke attacked both Wayne and Roostar. Tommy King took the microphone. He says, earlier tonight, Nuke took down 7-foot Mega, and he's going all the way to the top. And, eventually, I forgot what else went on, but they did leave the ring. Next up, we have a triple threat match, which saw Dan Barry defending the light heavyweight championship against the Grim Reaper and the interstate champion, Dickie Rods. I'm forgetting how the first elimination occurred, but Dan Barry was pinned first. He got eliminated from the match, leaving Reaper and Rods to decide who would win. Barry eventually comes back out with a chair and he hits Rods with it, enabling the Grim Reaper to pin him, and Reaper became the new NYWC light heavyweight champion. Then it was time for the main event. As I mentioned earlier, it was supposed to be Mikey Whipwreck and Marty Jannetty against Tyler Payne and a mystery partner, but it was Tyler Payne announced Jannetty was going to be his partner, so Tyler Payne and Marty Jannetty faced Mikey Whipwreck in a handicap match. Just when Whipwreck seemed to be doomed, out comes Al Snow with Head, and it hits the ring, pretty much saves the day for Whipwreck. Snow hits Tyler Payne with the snowplow. Whipwreck nails Jannetty with the whippersnapper, and Jannetty sold it like he took a swinging neck breaker instead. And I forgot who got pinned, but Snow and Whipwreck won the matchup, ending the night and sending the crowd home happy. So there you have it, folks. That's how my very first NYWC show took place. As time went on, I got to watch the product grow into the tremendous promotion that it is today. Obviously, based on everybody on this show, I forgot to mention Joey Brajol. We later became Apollyon, the demonic juggernaut. And I could probably count on one hand everybody who wrestled everybody on the show who's still with NYWC today. You could probably count on one hand. I'll see. Don't know if Apollyon's still going to be wrestling. Dickie Rods, but he did leave one time, once or twice. Who else is still there today? Let's see. Spider retired. Damian Dragon retired. Dan Dynasty doesn't wrestle anymore. Tony Burmer came out of retirement last year. Dang, I think that's it, folks. Of those that are still with NYWC today are Dickie Rods and Apollyon, who was Joey Brajol at the time of this very first event. Sadly, Crusher Dugan and Southern Vinny Stylen have since passed away. Curse is no longer involved with the company. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this retro review. And I may do Let me know, folks. Do you want more retro reviews? Whether it's shows that I don't have on videotape or DVD, because I'd be glad to do them, even if I can't remember all the way all these things ended and stuff. But, you know, hopefully you'll want more. Sure hope NYWC comes back before 2021 comes to an end.